You know it's my favorite day of the week. Friday. Gets that weekend kicked off the right way. And it's always a good thing when you can see the weekend coming, but it's not actually here yet. That's what Friday is. And so everything you want in terms of rest and relaxation is right in front of you. That's why Friday is so great. Doesn't get much better than Friday. The only way you can make Friday even better is if you tell me I'm off on Monday as well. Those are rare, but in any event, we're going to get to what is going to be a very fun show. I've had a lot of fun shows recently. Not every show is fun. I've had a lot of fun shows recently. And when I see fun things and I see exciting things, it gets me excited. And so I pass that excitement down to you. So you guys get ready because we're going to have some excitement today on the 192nd installment of the LouieTeeNetwork podcast, which starts now. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 192nd installment of the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. I want to start the show off with training camp fights. Now, I told you these joint practices never, okay, I shouldn't say never. Never is such a definitive word. That's not the case. There are teams that can get together and practice in a civilized manner. There are no fights. There are no dust-ups. And you keep it pushing. It's rare, though. Any joint practice with the Rams involved, you can be assured there will be some type of altercation. They just had a joint practice, did the Rams, with the Raiders. Of course, there was a dust-up, to which John Gruden said, I've had enough. He sent his players back to the bus. Okay, enough of this shit already, is what he said. Well, I told you, they got Aaron Donald over there. Never, ever trust a man with two first names. So you know something's bound to take place. Panthers and the Ravens had a joint scrimmage. When they got together, they're playing a game this weekend. There was a dust-up there between a couple of players. And then there are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Tennessee Titans. So Antonio Brown, a.k.a. A.B., a.k.a. Loose Screw. I told you there's crazy, and then there's crazy. Antonio Brown is crazy, okay? And not for all of the reasons that we talked about the other day, but he fits in that category. There's an extra crazy at the end of the first crazy with Antonio Brown. Anytime you freeze your feet to the point where you can barely walk, yeah, something's off there. Anyway, I digress. He gets into a fight with cornerback Chris Jackson of the Titans. Rule numero uno. If your helmet gets pulled off, fight over. Fight's done. Okay? I know you want to be tough guy, and I know you want to show that you're no punk, and you don't want to back down. The minute your lid comes off, fight's done. That's the rule. Okay? Now, if you're an offensive lineman or you're a D lineman, that's a little different. Bigger guys, they're real tough guys. Okay? The guys that are in the trenches, those are the real tough guys. The guys on the outside, the ones that like to do all the chirping, those guys aren't about that life for real. Okay? Soon as your lid gets pulled off, soon as they pop the top, fight's done. That's the rule. Chris Jackson didn't get that memo. So Antonio Brown and Chris Jackson lock horns, and AB's a wily, cagey vet. So you know they know all the tricks. So AB pops the top on that young fella, pulls his helmet off, and then lands a vicious left cross. Bow! Right across the jaw. Nice little freeze frame of it. Bow! Now why you want to go and do that, bruh, huh? Now why you want to go and do that? Come on, AB. Don't bless the young fella like that. He didn't know no better. You know he's a young pup. Wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac. Don't blast the young kid like that. Not across his jaw. Don't blaze him like that. Just blaze. Got to know the rules to the game, though, man. If you're willing to engage in battle, you got to know the rules, especially rule number 1. Okay? Ouch. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the gem dropping session today, shall we? I think we shall. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T-double-E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, I've talked about this very briefly, almost like a throwaway line in passing. When Jamal Adams got his bread from the Seattle Seahawks, I told you guys that Tyron Matthew took notice on socials. And he said, the disrespect, though. And that's all he said. You knew who he was talking to. And I told you guys, that's a situation worth keeping an eye on. Well, things are progressing and not quite nicely for the Kansas City Chiefs. They know what kind of a position they're in. They knew that this was going to happen eventually. Now that day has come. So the Chiefs have been paying everybody, all the important parts, okay? And not to say that Tyrann Mathieu isn't important, but I don't know if they really had him in the long-term scope of their future. I think they were looking at him as a guy that we paid, he helped us win a Super Bowl, we got one more year with him, and he'll be 30. We probably should get out of the Tyrann Mathieu business at that point. Maybe they were thinking that, maybe they weren't. Maybe like, hey, maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to work out some type of deal with this guy. Then the Jamal Adams deal happens, and the price goes up. That's what happens in this league. The price goes up. Now, the cap will go up next year. I don't know if that's going to really be all that beneficial. Obviously, more money is a good thing for all teams. But I don't know if that's going to necessarily free up a bunch of space for the Chiefs or not, because they've got a lot of lucrative deals that they've handed out. But all of them justified. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones. And then all the guys on the offensive line. If you're going to pay Patrick Mahomes $500 million, you better protect that investment. So they went out and they spent a bunch of money on the offensive line. I don't blame them. They traded for Zeus, Orlando Brown, gave him a big contract. They went out and signed the Patriots guard, gave him a massive deal. I don't blame them. However, Tyrann Mathieu's looking around and seeing all, and I talk about this all the time. You have to be careful when you pay other guys that weren't here before. It's one thing if one of your brothers in the locker room gets paid. You're happy for him. You know him. You know the work he puts in. He's one of your guys you've gone to war with. You want to see him get paid. When they bring an outsider in that you don't know and they're breaking him off with bread that you think is supposed to be yours, that's a problem. It's a big problem. So when you then go to management and you say, hey, my plate's getting a little empty here, man. I'm on my last piece of bread. What y'all got for me? And they go, hey, Tyrann, buddy, we love you. About that bread. We're actually a little short right now. We're currently trying to whip up a new batch and put it in the oven. If you could just hold tight for a minute, we'll see if we've got enough bread to go around to give you a few slices. And he's like, nah, that's not the answer I came here looking for, man. That's not what y'all told me that was going to happen last year when I was ready to do a new deal. Y'all told me to come back and y'all was going to have some bread ready for me. So what's going on? I don't want regular bread. I want cinnamon raisin bread too. And I want it fresh out the oven. What's good? Nah, we don't have any. We gave that all to Patrick and Chris, and Tyreek, and all these guys, Orlando Brown on the offensive line. We gave it all that bread away, man. We don't have any more cinnamon raisin bread. Sorry. The ones with the swirls? Yeah, that's all gone. Sorry. He's like, really? Did you see what Jamal Adams just got? So Tyrann Mathieu, in the final year of his deal in Kansas City, what was it, 3 words? The disrespect, though. Brett Veach, Chiefs general manager, said, we would like to re-sign Tyrann Mathieu, but the cap makes it tricky. Quote, some things are out of our control. Closed quote. I love when people say things like that. Some things are out of our control. How much money you spent on the cap and who you spent it on, that isn't out of your control. Actually, technically speaking, and I hate to get really literal and technical, but technically speaking, since we're on the subject matter, since you said things are out of your control, some things are out of your control. Technically speaking, if we're talking about the cap, you, Brett Veach, the general manager, actually control who and how much you spend money on. So actually, it's really within your control whether you have enough money to pay Tyrann Mathieu or not. Now, the cap going up and down, that might be more of what he was talking about, but the cap's going to go up next year. Back up to $208 million, I think. Somewhere in that $208 million range, give or take a mil or two. It's at 181 right now, so it's going to go way up, almost $30 million up. So there'll be some space. Again, I don't know what year two of some of these, or year three. I think Mahomes' deal was last year, I think, and Chris Jones' deal was a year or two ago. So I don't know what the next year of somebody else's contract looks like. The numbers may elevate and balloon, and so I don't know what those cap numbers look like. But I do know that Tyrann Mathieu feels like he's one of the best, if not the best defensive player they have. I think it's Chris Jones, but he's right there. If Chris Jones is the best player, Tyrann Mathieu may be the most important player on that defense because he is the leader. He gets everyone lined up, and he does so many different things for that defense. Whether you're talking over the slot, zone coverage underneath, blitzing, tackling, you know, he is the brains of the operation. He is the coach on the field for them. So he's feeling some type of way right now. I don't know if this is going to end well for him. It doesn't sound like Brett Veach is really looking to create space for him. This could be nothing. This could be something. I'm just telling you that there is a situation potentially brewing in Kansas City. One to keep your eye on. I'm not saying focus a ton of attention on, because we're at the point now where football games are about to be played. Once that happens, nobody gives a shit about your contract. That's off-season stuff. That's when we start to salivate over those types of topics and we focus in and hone in on them because there's nothing else to talk about. Once these games start, nobody wants to talk about anything but football, but the game, the actual action on the field. So I don't think this is going to be a big deal like where we're obsessing over it, but it's something to keep an eye on. Because if they can't re-sign him, they may franchise tag him, but that safety number that used to be really affordable, relatively cheap actually, compared to other franchise tags around the league, that number is starting to get a little pricey with some of the deals that have been done recently. You know, Justin Simmons and now this one, that number is starting to go up a bit. So I don't know if franchise tagging him is the answer. I don't think they have the kind of cap space to do that either. So it'll be interesting to see, because at 30 years old, if he plays another good season like I expect him to, he'll be interesting on the free agent market next year for a team looking for a free safety. He will be really interesting. Again, he's getting up there, 30. Safety is one of those positions, though, if you're a smart player, which he is, very heady, you can last a few extra years than the normal safety that relied on athleticism. You can hang around for a lot longer if you're a heady football player playing safety. It's not one of those positions where you have to be an uber athlete to excel. It's not like corner, where that's no country for old men. You got to be young, spry, and athletic and witty. Safety, you can be a wily, cagey vet. But it's something to keep in mind. That's all I'm going to say to you. So, I want to bring up a couple more topics before we move on. Did you guys see that Josh Rosen got cut in San Francisco? That feels like it, doesn't it? Doesn't that feel like the end? Oh, to the end of the road. Josh Rosen got let go. Doesn't it feel like it's over? I mean, how many more stops could this dude possibly have and not get on the field? Tampa gave him a look-see, decided he wasn't worth the trouble, and drafted Kyle Trask. San Francisco then picked him up and said, well, let's kick the tires on this kid, see what he's about. They draft Trey Lance. They kick him to the curve. I think this is it. I mean, how many teams is that in the span of, 3 years? He was drafted in 18, so we're now going into year 4 of that draft. And those quarterbacks have already established themselves. Lamar Jackson is working on a contract as we speak. Josh Allen has already got his. Baker Mayfield is waiting to see what's going to happen with his, but he's going to get one. And Sam Darnold is getting a fresh start, a new lease on life in Carolina. Maybe brief, but he's getting a chance. This is it for Josh Rosen. Arizona, Miami, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, and now I think it's over. It's for the guy that said he was going to make every single team that passed on him pay, and that 9 mistakes were taken before him. Remember, the Cardinals traded up to 10 to take him. 9 mistakes were drafted before him. I don't know about that one. Jury's still out on that one. I don't know about 9 mistakes. I can tell you the 10th pick was definitely a mistake. But I think it's over for him in his NFL career. He may turn up in the CFL or something. I don't know. I told you, he had money. His family had money. The dad's like a doctor. I think his mom's a doctor too or something like that, whatever. That doesn't matter. But I had brought it up when we talked about him having concussions and things of that nature. But he played football for the love of the game. He didn't need the money necessarily. But you always want your own money. You don't want your parents' money, right? So I don't know what he's going to do. I don't think he loves the game, but I don't think he loves it enough to go overseas and play in the CFL or anything like that. So this might be it for him. And then last tidbit. Eagles are reportedly shopping former first-round pick. Speaking of a former first-round pick in Josh Rosen, the Eagles are reportedly looking to move former first-round pick offensive tackle Andre Dillard. That was another massive fail. Now, his has been more of injuries, but it's also production-based as well. Haven't been blown away by him when he has been healthy, which hasn't been very often for him. And I think they're just ready to cut their losses. Like, okay, we invested a first-round pick. We've gotten absolutely no returns on that investment. The first step on the road to recovery is acknowledging that there's a problem. They have to acknowledge that this just isn't working for us. Let's just cut our losses and get what we can get and move forward. So I think they're looking to do that. We'll see if something gets done here before the start of the season. I don't even think there's any real value for an Andre Dillard at this point. He's done nothing to warrant someone to give up anything of note. This feels like one of those, hey, we got a failed first rounder. You got a failed first rounder. Let's just swap failed first rounders and see what happens. Yeah, a change of scenery for everybody may be good. A change will do you good. Do you good. Maybe a change of scenery does them good. Or you say, hey, I'll give you this late round conditional pick. It's a 6 if he plays in 6 games. If he doesn't, it's a 7. Something like that. We'll see. Late round pick, best case scenario for the Eagles if they're looking to move Andre Dillard. So we'll see what happens there. Anyhow, got a couple of super chats before we move on. And this first one is from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Metaphor writes, to Lou, I hate the analysts that say they're going to have to run the ball with their running backs. Really? Thanks. Going to need to throw the ball with their QBs too, I guess. Look, some analysts love to state the obvious. That was one of the running jokes about John Madden, even though he was a hell of an analyst and, you know, he was a guy that kind of helped usher in, you know, this new wave of excitement for, you know, the analyst role. But some guys can be pretty obvious. It's like the commercial with, you know, Captain Obvious, the Priceline commercials with Captain Obvious. Some analysts can be that way, where they tell you something and you go, no. You remember when people used to say this? No shit, Sherlock. Sometimes you feel like that with some of these analysts. Like, really, dude? Okay, thanks for that information. I would have never figured that out on my own. Thanks a lot for that. So you get that from time to time, man. As long as it's not repetitive and redundant, like he's not doing it all the time, you can get away with the occasional no duh line, okay, from an analyst. I can let that slide. It's when you're a repeat offender, that's when I got to start drawing the line somewhere, and I'm going to have to come down on your ass pretty hard. But you'll get that from time to time. Look, if you're watching these preseason games, you're going to get some pretty bad announcing because it's the local broadcast team, and these guys stink a lot of times. Like, watching the Washington games, Kenny Albert is a pro. He's a pro's pro. His dad is Marv Albert. He's been doing this his entire life. I love it. Got no issues with him. Joe Theismann is terrible. He's terrible. But I got to suck it up. It's the home broadcast. I know what it is. I know what it is when I go into it. The sideline guys are just as bad as, if not worse. They used to have Clinton Portis. They had other ex-players. It was bad. It was dreadful. Now they have Mike Silver over there. He's terrible too. He's terrible. So you know you're going to get some absolute trash from these local broadcast crews. So don't really hold them to a very high standard. Okay? And I don't. I go into all of these games knowing it's going to be pretty bad. More likely than not. There are a couple of them that I actually like. The Arizona Cardinals have one of the better local broadcasts. One of their guys, he's excellent. I love him. But most of these teams don't have very good local broadcasts. It's pretty bad. So one guy, I forgot what game I was watching. He was way too excited. And not the my man Johnson for Fox. Not that kind of exciting, or Kevin Harlan. A lot of people are critical of Kevin Harlan because they feel like he's too excited about a 3-pointer in the first quarter or a field goal in the second quarter, or a big play in the second quarter. He's too excited about that. I love Kevin Harlan, but this guy that I was listening to, I don't know who he is, and I don't remember what team he was part of their broadcast. He was over the top. I was like, oh my God, whew, somebody get him off of me. I felt like he was right here on me. Like, somebody back him off of me, bruh. Personal space, back the hell up. He was a little bit much. So, yeah, some of these analysts, you're going to have to take that with some of these guys. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Kevin the PRF, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Kevin the PRF, writes, every Eagles fan is at the tattoo shop this morning getting ink that reads, it's only the preseason. Hey, that was a pretty bad performance, but it is only the preseason. But, and I'm not going to take that ass thrashing and extrapolate that over 18 weeks and say that they're going to be a terrible team. I thought they weren't going to be very good, before the preseason got underway. My opinion hasn't changed nor been impacted by anything that's happened in the first 2 weeks for the Eagles. I thought they were really sharp with their first team units against the Steelers in week 1 of the preseason. I thought they were awful in week number 2. Nothing's changed. I didn't go in any direction after the first game when I thought they looked really sharp. And I'm not going to waffle or waver because they were awful in the second preseason game. I don't think they're going to be very good. So that didn't change my mind, nor did the performance in week 1 of the preseason. Did that change my mind? So nothing to me is going to move the needle for me preseason wise, unless I thought that your quarterback was going to be awful, and I'm looking at him and I'm saying, hey, maybe I was wrong about this guy. And that could be the case with Jalen Hurts. I would have loved to have seen him last night. He needs reps. So him not playing, that's pretty impactful for them. He needs all the reps that he can get. But I don't think we're going to get to my Thursday night leftovers here in a second. So I don't need to really elaborate on that. But the Eagles looked so pathetic last night. But they're not going to panic, and they're going to make all the excuses. And if I were an Eagles fan, I'd be making all those excuses as well, if I thought we were going to be good. But I don't think they're going to be good. So there really aren't any excuses to be made if you ask me. But we'll see. In any event, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back on the other side, and we're going to jump into that very game that you just brought up. Patriots at Eagles, the only game on Thursday night. We're going to head to the kitchen and get some leftovers. I'm going to tell you about my leftovers. We'll do that in a second. You are dialed into the 192nd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. Get a quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back. I want to take this time to thank Manscaped for sponsoring the Louie T Network podcast. Attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston, do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you've got zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code LouieT. Ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than a Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped that is just taken off not only in the US, but Canada, the UK, and across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. Inside this package, you'll find their 4.0 lawnmower trimmer, weed whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, crop preserver ball deodorant, crop reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your whole solar system. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 lawnmower trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on your journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even your anus. You see what we did there? This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multi-function on and off switch which can engage a travel lock and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave throughout your travels across the universe. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Pause. Don't forget to use Crop Preserver ball deodorant and their Crop Reviver to help your little planets on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag. Abort hairy balls and Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code LouieT at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code LouieT at manscaped.com. For a clean Trinity and beyond, your space balls will thank you. Welcome back to the 192nd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. If you're out there and you're watching this show live, please do me a huge solid. Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and hit that like button. Over 100 of you out there, only 38 likes. That is criminal, guys. Let's get that like number up if you would, please. I'm going to thank you guys in advance for hitting that like button. It doesn't cost you a thing. Touch that like button. It won't bite. So let's jump into Thursday night leftovers, man. I'm ready to mosey on to the kitchen. Now, let me tell you this right now. You know what I had for dinner last night? Burgers and fries. Oh, I love me some burgers and fries. Do you know what's worse than leftover French fries? Nothing. Okay, there's nothing worse than leftover French fries. They're cold, they're soggy, or they're really hard. The potato inside doesn't taste like it did when it was fresh. You got nothing, essentially. You got nothing with a day-old French fries. Guess what? I don't believe in wasting food, so I'm going to eat them anyway. It's not going to be an easy meal to consume, but I'm going to do it anyway. These are the leftovers we were left with. 35-0, ass thrashing at the hands of the New England Patriots. Eagles don't score a single point. There's nothing worse than getting your ass beat and getting blanked in the process. Have some pride about yourself and at least put up a triple. They couldn't even do that. So, these leftovers, not the best in the world. But I'm still going to eat them, even though these fries are stale, okay? I don't know what you got as leftovers. Hopefully, they're a lot more delicious and delectable than what I have. But let's munch on them anyway, all right? First leftover of the game. God, these are terrible. Cam Newton and the offense for the Patriots, razor sharp. If you reached out and touched it, you would have got cut. Cam Newton was 8 of 9 for 103 yards and that touchdown toss to Jacoby Myers. He was almost flawless in the game. Beautiful job of stepping up and manipulating the pocket. He was accurate with the football. He looked like the Cam Newton that we saw early last year before he got COVID. Maybe there is another act to Cam Newton's career. After all, we'll see. It's preseason. Don't want to overreact to anything that we see. But it is good to see him playing well, see him moving well. And I can tell you this. They looked solid. The Patriots' first team offense was solid. Like, it wasn't great against Washington. They were dominating the ball game against the Eagles. And really, it was every single offensive unit they put in the game, first, second, third string, all dominated the football game. And Cam Newton and that bunch were phenomenal. I honestly don't think there's a debate here. I know Mac Jones looked good. We'll talk about him later during this Thursday night leftover session. But to me, there's no debating that Cam Newton's the starter of that team. Until otherwise notified, until he gives Bill Belichick and company a reason to sit him, he's the starter. These discussions about who should start, what discussion? What has Cam done this preseason to even create a conversation that there is a debate to be had? I don't think there is one. Yeah, Mac Jones is playing well. So is Cam Newton. He's going to get the nod. And he's continuing to hammer that point home with another outstanding performance against these Eagles. And then one more little tidbit here. I got a small fry over here, just a little crumb. I'll just throw it in. Matthew Judon, for the second straight week, he's flying around the football field. I just want to mention that. I talked about it last week playing against Washington. He was all over the football field, had a tackle for loss on a 3rd and 1, forced Washington to punt. He was the one that forced the fumble of Joe Flacco. With the bad snap, Flacco tried to pick it up and make something happen. Judon hits him, balls out. Patriots recover. They're in business. 3 plays later or so, they're in the end zone. Matthew Judon is flying around, man. He's really going to be a big fixture for what the Patriots are going to do. A big fixture in what the Patriots do this upcoming year defensively. They move him around, and that's the kind of player he is, a guy you can move around. I liken, and again, it makes a ton of sense. I liken him to Zadarius Smith. A guy that's just going to fly around on the football field and make things happen. I see him doing that, and it makes sense. Both of those guys came from Baltimore. He's going to be a problem for opposing offenses this year. With Belichick and what they do with their linebackers, Matthew Judon is in a great spot to really explode, and he's looking like he's ready to do that early in this young preseason. The next leftover, I'll take a bite out of my burger. And this is a lot better than the fries, man. Oh. The Eagles' strength is in their defensive line. And I think last night was a prime example of why the Eagles have to have their defensive line be intact or they don't stand a chance. They didn't play any of their defensive starters on the D-line last night, essentially. There was no Fletcher Cox. There was no Derek Barnett. There was no Brandon Graham. None of those guys played. There were a few of the guys that are going to be key contributors on that line. But for the most part, none of the guys that we view as true difference makers for the Eagles didn't play on that D-line. Now, the rest of the defense played. All the secondary guys, all the linebackers, all of their asses were out there. They got gouged, okay? So what I'm essentially telling you is they don't matter, because the Eagles last year were one of the best run defenses in football. The Patriots racked up over 207 yards on the ground last night, okay? It really didn't matter which one of their offensive lines were in or who was at the running back position. They could do no wrong against this Eagles group. And that just hammers home the point that the Eagles' defensive line is their defense. Without them, their defense absolutely stinks. And I think you saw that last night. Next leftover. Damn, that fry was really hard. Damn. Get that one out my teeth. Patriots with an abundance of riches at the running back position. They've got Damian Harris. They've got Sony Michel. PlayStation. They've got J.J. Taylor. We're going to talk about him a little bit later on in the show. And they've got Ramondre Stevenson, the rookie 4th-round pick out of Oklahoma. They've got an abundance of running backs, and they can give it to you in a multitude of ways. They were on full display last night. And every single one of them had an impact at some point. And, wow. That'll be fun to watch, because I think right before our very eyes, we're watching the Patriots morph into more of a ground dominant team. Not to say that they don't believe in the targets that they can throw the football to, but I think they want to feature more of the run game, because they think they're going to be better defensively, and they think they'll have a chance to win games if they can just keep it close. And the way to do that is to not turn it over. And so I think, unlike when they had Brady and they could do whatever the hell they wanted to do, they could do whatever they like. Yeah. Now with Cam Newton and or Mac Jones, I think they feel like the best way to give ourselves a chance. I'm not saying that they're going to, strictly hand it off and take the quarterback out of the game, because I think they trust either of those guys if they're in the game to throw the football. But I think what they really want to do is be more run heavy than pass heavy. And in past years, depending on what the strength of that team defensively they were playing against was, that's how they would alter their game plan and go into the game looking to exploit that team's weakness. I don't know if that's going to be the case this year. I don't know if they see a team that's ranked 27th against the pass and decide, all right, Cam, you're throwing it 42 times this week. They still do that, and they've been one of the best in the league at doing that, exploiting weaknesses. But I think they're going to look to try to run the ball every week, and they feel like that's going to give them a chance to keep it close. And they've got the backs, and their offensive line is pretty solid. They're going to have a chance, man. I think they're going to be able to run the football. We'll see. But this was a really impressive performance by the line and by every single one of those running backs. Next, leftover. Caught a fry there. Lack of defensive depth shows for the Eagles. So I told you guys last week, for me with the preseason, you want to, number one, above all else, you want to stay healthy. Eagles weren't able to do that. One of their tight ends, Jason Kroom, went down. I don't know if he was going to make their team or not. I told you I like the kid, Tyree Jackson, that is converting from quarterback to tight end. I'd keep him behind the top two tight ends, Ertz and Goddard. But nonetheless, Jason Kroom went down in a heap last night. You never want to see that. It doesn't matter what status that guy has on the roster, whether he's not going to make the team, doesn't even have a shot, or he's backup or a starter. You don't want to see that. But above all else, you want to stay healthy. Number two, you want to see your starters, on both sides of the ball. You want to see all your players really, but your starters in particular, play well, be consistent. And then the third thing is, and I think this is what you find out the most of. It's not the most important, but you find out a lot about this, is your depth, team depth. That's what the preseason for me is, because you're not playing your starters a huge chunk of the snaps in the preseason in any given game. So what we're going to find out is how good are the guys backing up the starters. how good are the guys backing up the backups? Because some of those guys are going to make the team too. You know, third string guys, they're going to make the team too. Some of them. Not a lot of them, but some of them. How good are these guys? Because I say this all the time. And I say it all the time for a reason, because it's true. The NFL is a war of attrition. It's 18 weeks now. Used to be 17. It's getting even longer. So you're asking these players to survive a grueling, physical, 17-game schedule. Nicks and bruises are going to happen. Guys are going to get injured. You're going to have to tap into your depth. You're hoping to not have to tap into a ton of it. But if you do, the preseason shows you what you have. And I told you, teams that lack depth get their asses handed to them in the preseason. Minnesota Vikings, a great example. I don't think the Vikings have a lot of depth. I think they're top heavy. They've got talented football players, but they are starters. When they got to go into their depth, they get exposed. That's why Denver was able to put a 33 spot on them and they only scored 6. You get your ass whipped in the preseason when you don't have depth. You don't have guys that can step up. The Eagles, what last night showed me is they don't have any depth. They lack depth. They've got guys that can start and play at a very high level, but if those guys get injured, if those guys come to some kind of catastrophe, and you got to rely on some of these backup players, they're in trouble. In trouble. We're going to talk about another situation where they could be in trouble, but they're in trouble. That's what last night showed me. Their defensive line stinks without the core guys. They stink. They can't hold their own. They can't stop the run. They can't get after the quarterback. I mean, the Patriots quarterbacks had all day to throw the football. They ran it wherever they wanted to. They did whatever the hell. I don't believe in the Eagles secondary, period. So if they're not getting pressure on the quarterback, if they got to tap into that depth, they are in trouble, period, end of discussion. And that's what last night showed, is that they don't have any depth. That's how you get your ass beat 35-0 in the preseason. Teams with depth, those second tier and third string guys, they're going to fight their asses off, and they're going to give you a chance to keep it close. You may not win the game, but it's not going to be 35-0. It may be 20-13. It may be 16-15. It may be 22. Normally you get weird scores in the preseason, so it'll be 25-17. You know, it'll be something like that. You'll be in the ball game. You get your ass beat like this, it proves that your depth stinks. And you better stay healthy. Next, leftover. Man, these are the last handful of fries. God, I'm glad these are almost done. Did you see the play? Did you see the play with running back J.J. Taylor of the Patriots and defensive back Michael Jacquet III? Come on, J.J. Taylor, man. Now, why you want to go and do that, man, huh? Now, why you want to go and do that? Come on, bruh. Now, why you want to go and do that? I mean, he literally took that man's ankles, snatched them shits. Give them to me. That man needs a new set of ankles today. If you've got a pair of loose ankles that you can loan Michael Jacquet, please call 1-800-NEW-ANKLES. That's 1-800-NEW-ANKLES. J.J. Taylor, bless that young man. Bless him. Lord, bless him. Father, forgive him, because he not know what he just did. He didn't know. He didn't know that man had a family at home that was watching that game. He didn't know he was going to take that man's ankles and snatch them from him like that. Give me those. You don't know what to do with those. He put a vicious, flavor delicious, poetic scripture spin move out in space on that man that left that man gasping for air. As a matter of fact, I got a kick out of this. I had to watch it 3 times. The broadcast team for the Eagles, the analysts, not the play-by-play guy, the analysts didn't even have words. And this is the Eagles broadcast team. He didn't even have words. J.J. Taylor broke Michael Jacquet off And the analyst said, "Ah!" He made a noise. He said, "Ah!" It was disgusting. It was dirty, dick, dastardly like. And I loved every second of it. Anytime you dropping it low and you don't touch a soul, we got problems. Whew. That man dipped it low. Low. Anyway, I digress. Come on, man. Now, why you want to go and do that, love, huh? Now, why you want to go and do that Why you want to go and do that, huh, bruh? Come on, Mike. I mean, JJ, come on, JJ. That shit was not dynamite. That shit was not cool, bro. It's preseason, man. Anyway, I digress. Now I'm on to the burger. I can enjoy these last couple bites, man. This was a glimpse right here of the Eagles' worst nightmare. Yeah, let me get another bite. That was pretty good. This was the glimpse of the Eagles' worst nightmare right here. What we saw last night. Jalen Hurts goes to the hospital. Is feeling ill. Doesn't play in the game. And they got to go to Joe Flacco. My guy, Joke. Ooh. And behind him, it's Nick Mullens. Ugh, that's nasty. If Jalen Hurts isn't good this season, they got nowhere to turn. Let me say that again, because Eagles fans need to hear this. I think they know this, but they don't want to hear this. They think it's Hurts season. So I got to say this again for the people in the back that are a little hard of hearing. This game right here was the Eagles' worst nightmare come to fruition. Now, hopefully, if you're an Eagles fan, you don't have to go down this road and this never comes up. But if Jalen Hurts is not good, or he is his surname, which means he gets Hurts, you got Joe Flacco and you got Nick Mullens. And you got nothing. You got zero strength. Nothing. You saw what the offense looked like last night. You saw how incapable they were of moving the football. Hell, they couldn't even protect Joe Flacco. Miles Sanders looked good. The brief period he was in there, but they don't have much. You take away Jalen Hurts and his ability to go off script and make things happen with his legs, and this is what the Eagles look like. If he's not good and they determine this by week 9, this is what you have to look forward to for the remainder of the season. This is why we've heard rumors of the Eagles wanting to trade for Deshaun Watson. Because they know. They know better. They know that they are one injury away, and a lot of teams are in this boat. The Eagles are not alone. They are not alone. The Eagles are here with you. They're not alone. But they're one injury away from this team absolutely being an abject disaster this year. That was a glimpse of what could be the Eagles season right there. Next leftover. Quinn Nordine. His kicks were so delicious last week. Had a little bit of vegan ranch on my fingers right there. Quinn Nordine was fantastic last week. Had Washington fans salivating over, hey, we need to go get the Patriots kicker. They're not keeping him. We should go get him. Oh, really? You don't say. Well, Mr. Nordine, who was outstanding last week, was busting them down from over 50 last week. Couldn't make a kick to save his life until the fourth quarter of this game or late stages of the third. Missed 3 kicks in this game, including 2 PATs and a chip shot field goal on the, was it the second possession of the game when the Patriots moved it down the field? Missed the field goal. Shit ain't always sweet with these kickers, man. And that's why I tell Washington fans, shit is not always green on the other side. You want to run guys out of town that look, I get it. Dustin has been a bit of an F up of late, but he's had his moments where he's been clutch and he's been consistent at times. Don't be so hasty to make a decision that you may regret. Don't be one of these teams out here wandering around in the field goal kicking wilderness. There are teams that have been in that forest searching for a kicker for years. Years. We got a guy. He isn't the best. He also isn't the worst. We're going to see him tonight. Hopefully he's got his shit together. But Quinn Nordine, everybody was all excited about him last week. These things, they flip so quickly with these kickers. Remember 2 years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago, the Ravens had Kare Vedvik. Remember him? You know, just incredible. Doesn't need to kick in the preseason. For what? We know it. This guy's a future Hall of Famer, if you ask me. He didn't need to kick in the preseason. So they brought in Kare Vedvik to kick. And Kare Vedvik is booming. Kare booming wants some more. Booming them from 55 and 53 and 58 in the preseason. You're like, who the hell is this dude? And where can I get him? Ravens can't keep him. And they ultimately did. Remember, they traded him. They held on to him and they traded him. The Ravens are so smart. They took advantage of it. As soon as he got to Buffalo, straight ass cheeks. Went from outstanding to ass-tastic. From astounding to ass-tastic, just like that. With these kickers, man, you just don't know. Rather be safe than sorry. I'd rather deal with the devil I know than the devil I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I digress. Finally, last bit of leftovers. I'm going to throw this last piece of burger out. Now what? The burger wasn't bad. The fries were horrible. The fries were the Eagles. They weren't good at all. Mac Jones was outstanding. Outstanding. Mac, he knocked it out. Mac was he was excited. Mac was he was outstanding. And are you surprised? I'm not. I told you Mac Jones was the most NFL ready of any of the first round quarterbacks. That doesn't mean I like him more than those guys. I don't think his upside is greater than those guys. I think he landed in the perfect spot for his talents and skill sets. And he's showing you why he was the most NFL ready. He's decisive. He knows where to go with the football. He's even showed off a few scramble opportunities. Now, I can tell you, he looked awkward running at Alabama. He didn't know how to slide. He's been awkward in both rushing attempts in the league to this point. He got up slow after he slid against the Eagles. I don't think he knows how to slide properly. And every time he slides, I cringe. He damn near broke his leg in a playoff game last year when he slid. I said, whew, don't do that again. You can hurt yourself. If you've played baseball before, which I have, you can hurt yourself very seriously if you don't slide correctly. You can really hurt yourself. But forget about that. Man was 13 or 19 for $146. You couple that with what he did last week, and he's been uber impressive. Now, granted, none of his performances have come against anybody's starters, nor should they, because Cam is the starter, which I can't stress enough. However, I already said this too. That's not his problem that he's playing against 2s and 3s. Eat their ass alive. That's what he did. He looks good. He's accurate with the football. He's decisive. He's got a command of their offense that none of these young guys on these other teams have at this point. They're running no huddle with Mac Jones already. They ran no huddle in the first preseason game with him. I don't think Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence or Trey Lance is comfortable enough in the system that they're in to run no huddle in the second or third quarter of a ball game when it's not 2-minute, offense. Just a random ass, 13 minutes and 36 seconds left. Let's just run no huddle for the shits and shit of it, for the shits and giggles of it. For the hell of it. I don't know if those other teams have quarterbacks that can do that right now. Mac Jones can. Smart dude. He gets it. He's accurate. He's decisive. Everything you want in a pocket passer, he's got that. And that wasn't the issue. The issue is, lack of mobility and lack of upside. For me, it was never Mac Jones can't play at this level. That was never the point I was trying to push across when I said I don't think Mac Jones is a guy you take, super early in the first round. I didn't have a problem with him going in the first round. But I thought that my guy from NFL Network, Bucky Brooks, said it best. When you take a guy at the quarterback position high in the draft, you're looking for a superhero with superpowers. Mac Jones doesn't have any superpowers. He's Batman. He's got a bunch of gadgets. Okay? You don't need a gun. You got a flashlight. You don't need all these gadgets. You got brains. You got a little arm. Not the strongest in the world, but you got an arm. That's all you need. So he's Batman. He doesn't have any real superpowers. He got a bunch of gadgets. He's got the bare essentials. But it's enough to get the job done. But if I'm taking a guy high in the draft, I want an athlete. I want a guy that's going to extend and make a play happen off schedule. I want a guy with superpowers. Mac Jones doesn't have any. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a good quarterback. But in today's NFL, you want a quarterback with superpowers. Mac Jones looks really good. The miggity Mac. Bo. The miggity Mac. Bo. The miggity Mac. Bo. The miggity Mac. He looks good. And he may be exactly what the doctor ordered for the Patriots. You go from Tom Brady to Mac Jones. Seamless transition. With a Cam Newton in between. I'm not upset. I don't think he's going to be the best of this group of quarterbacks. But I think he'll hold his own. And as I mentioned before, he went to the right team. He couldn't have been drafted to a better organization for his skill set. So, that's my last leftover from last night's 35-0 shellacking. I'm going to take one more break, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up the show with garbage time. You already know, and if you don't, your ass better call somebody. Backed by popular demand are the LTN exclusives platter of pools and leagues for the upcoming 2021 NFL season. First up, we start with the LTN NFL Weekly Pick'em Pool. No year-long commitment here. Rather, this is a week-to-week pool that allows players to pick winners of each week's games, including a Monday night winner with combined points, which serves as a tiebreaker. So essentially, you pick a winner for each and every single game, and then Monday night, you pick a winner and points combined between the two teams. That serves as a tiebreaker. The person with the least amount of losses wins the entire pot. $7 per sheet. Winner takes all, minus a $2 per sheet maintenance fee. No limit as to how many sheets you can play per week. So if you want to play 3 hands because you think that gives you a better chance to win, by all means, knock yourself out. Must have PayPal or CashApp to participate, as that's how you will turn in your money and that's how you will receive your earnings should you win. Link to sign up in the description of this video. Just head over to LouieTeeNetwork.net and hit the LTN exclusives tab if you don't want to hit the link down in the description. Next up, we have the 9th annual Louie T Network Soul Survivor Pool. I am 0 for 8 in this department. I am dying to get a win here. Survivor pool rules apply. So simply, you pick a team to get you through to the next week. If that team wins, you advance to the next week. You can no longer pick that team for the remainder of the pool, and so forth, so forth. The team you pick loses, you're then eliminated. Last player or participating member standing wins the entire pool. $20 entry fee here. Winner takes all. Must have PayPal or Cash App to participate. Once again, same thing. You need those two, one of the two, to pay and then to get the money should you win. The link is down in the description of this video to register for the Survivor Pool. Just need to either hit that link and it'll send you directly to where you need to go, or you can go over to LouieTeeNetwork.net, hit the LTN exclusives tab, and go from there. Finally, we go to the Don Dada, the granddaddy of them all, Winners and Losers League. Okay, this is a year-long league requiring weekly selections to be made for 18 straight weeks. So if you cannot make a season-long commitment to put in picks each and every single week, this is not the league for you. We talk about the NFL being a war of attrition and not being a sprint, but rather a marathon. That's exactly what this league is. A running accumulation of wins and losses will be kept, and the winner will be the person with the best win-loss record at the end of the season. Okay, winner will take all, will get the championship belt and the title of Winners and Losers champ. You're listening right now to the current two-time Winners and Losers champ, and I don't see that changing in the upcoming season. $25 entry fee. Must have PayPal or Cash App to participate for the same reasons I mentioned before. Link in the description to join this league. Go ahead and make sure you do that expeditiously. Get over there and sign up as quickly as possible so we can get all the particulars hammered out, and you'll know how many people are in it and how much money is going to be awarded to the winner, which is going to be me. And so again, all of the pools and leagues, you can see the links down in the description and click those specific links to wherever you want to go, or you can just head over to LouieTeeNetwork.net and hit the LTN exclusives tab, and that will show you where you need to go, and you'll have all of the buttons directing you. Please read all of the different prompts once you get to those specific pools and leagues so that you don't miss any of the small, finer, granular details. That being said, that's it. LTN exclusives for the 2021 season officially open for business. Please sign up. Let's have fun. But most importantly, let's get dubs. Bart Scott can't wait. Welcome back to the show as we wrap things up with garbage time. Real quick, if you haven't already had a chance to do so, please subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and hit that like button. We're up to 70 likes. I like that. That's the way, I like it. But we can get up to 80. We can get up to 90. So keep hitting that like button. And if you haven't hit it already, please do bless the kid by hitting the like button. So I want to wrap up today's show with something we talked about a while back. And I told you, man, this shit is getting out of control. We need to reel this in before this becomes an epidemic, right? I said, man, these old dudes trying to come back and play ball, man. The NFL is no country for old men. And, you know, Brady out here playing at 44 is giving all these people, all these old guys, ideas that they can still do the shit. And we talked about Brandon Jacobs and all of these guys that all of a sudden had these ideas of grandeur, like I can come back and play. And I'm like, hey, come on now, let's stop this shit. Cut it out, guys. Well, Terrell El Dorado Owens has thrown his name in the hat as a guy that wants to make a comeback. I don't know if his is strictly based off of money. I know his financial situation wasn't necessarily the best. I don't think he's, totally broke, but I don't think he is eating as good as he should with the career that he had. That said, Terrell El Dorado Owens, you know him as T.O., has recently said, hey, I want to come back. Give me a chance. I'm not washed up, closed quote. Really? You're 47, bro. I'm not washed up? That is the definition of washed up. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, he's in tremendous shape. The best shape you'll see for a 47-year-old. And I don't doubt that he could come out there and play a few snaps. He can't play a full season. That's number one. And number two, you don't want him out there. Number three, the guy was a head case when he was 27 that you were willing to put up with because of the talent. Who the hell is trying to put up with 47-year-old Terrell Owens? There's no way in hell he's getting a look. But he gave us something to talk about. Briefly, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because nobody's giving this guy a look, see? If I'm a GM, I'd much rather give the undrafted kid out of Oregon State a look than give a 47-year-old Terrell Owens a look. And like I said, I think he can still come out there and break a corner or two off. He's still big. He still can run. He probably isn't running as fast as he once did, but he still can run. I've watched him, go against high school kids, and I think he came out to Deion's camp with his players at Jackson State, broke off a corner or two and then left. Those are college boys, young fellas. But they don't know no better, man. Those young boys don't know. They don't know the game like that. That's why Prime's trying to teach them. They don't know. You get a wily vet out there, they school them quick, fast, and in a hurry. Hell, I might be able to put a couple moves on some of them young boys. So T.O. giving them work, not a surprise. But he ain't doing that shit to none of these boys up here at the NFL level. Yeah, pick on somebody your own size. Not doing that to these guys out here now. They ain't afraid of T.O. They'll body his ass up in a heartbeat. So, anyway, I thought it was hysterical. It fits in line with all of the guys that want to make a comeback. But generally speaking, if you're set financially, you ain't talking reckless like this. You ain't talking about wanting to make a comeback. You good, man. You know when it's over, it's over. When Father Time comes and taps you on the shoulder and says, he ain't even got to say nothing. Just 2 taps. You turn around and look, and he goes, you go, all right, man, it's over. It's over. I got to go. Just like when you were a kid and your mom told you had to be home before the street light came on, and you looked up at the sky and it was getting dark out and you knew them lights were coming on, and you was like, hey, y'all, I got to go. Come on, man, we about to play another game. I got to go. You know what time it is. You got to go. And it's been time for T.O. to go. He's not even an afterthought. As a matter of fact, I don't think he got to retire on his own terms. If you retire on your own terms, then you have a chance to say, I want to come back. If I'm not mistaken, was his last team Seattle? Was it the Seahawks? It seems like everybody's last team at receiver is the Seahawks before they realize I can't do this shit no more. Or some team out west. I think for Jerry Rice, it was the Broncos. I think for T.O., it was the Seahawks, I want to say. So if you couldn't cut it then, what makes you think you can cut it at 47? Anyway, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the 192nd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I thank you guys for joining me. If you're a Washington fan, keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to be going live here in the next maybe 30 minutes or so. It's not going to be a very long live stream, but have a little bit of news to drop on y'all. And so if you're a Washington fan out there, be on the lookout for that. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me. I want you to go ahead and get your weekend kicked off the right way. Tons of preseason action for you to digest. We'll even have a Monday night game. I think they may even give us a Sunday night game. Sunday night game as well. So I think they starting to try to get us into that feel of, hey man, this is what it's gonna be like. Y'all go ahead, get your feet wet, stick your toe in the water, see if you like that temp. I think I'm gonna do that because I haven't watched any of these preseason games live. Zero, except for Washington's. Everybody else, I'm watching the condensed version. I don't need to sit there and sit through your broadcast. Your local broadcast is doing way too much for 3 hours. I can't do it, except for Washington. So I think my first time I'm gonna dip my toe in the water is gonna be Sunday night. I think we get a Sunday and a Monday night game. I think I'm gonna dip my toe in for both of those games. And if the water feels good, I think I might dive in. So we'll see how it feels. If it's a little chilly for me, I'm getting out of there quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I'll just watch the playback where they chop it up for me and put it into a nice little neat package. But if I can stomach it, if this water is not too cold, I'm gonna dive in and take the whole thing. So we'll see. Anyway, that's it. For me, your man Louie T. Y'all get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Hope you have a tremendous weekend. I'm looking forward to mine. Hopefully you are doing the same with yours. And we'll reconvene on Monday for some of you. If you're a Washington fan or you just want to catch up with your man Louie T, I'll be live tonight. I may be live again. Who knows? You know, I watched the Sunday night game or I watched the Monday night game. Who knows? I may be back before then. So in any event, you guys take care. Have a good one.